We're the book friends that think good.
What does this mean for our life, for our world? Yiggity yeet, my dude. I'm happy to speak. Always happy to think.
I don't know how to do that. I can look into that.
Makes you sound like a book friend that can think good.
It's Jack and it's Weston.
BFTTGs. Yeah.
Jack, I think good. Sometimes I good think, too.
Makes you sound pretty good.
We might want to make it more concise. We are going to attempt to grapple and answer 3 questions. Number 1, what did we learn? Number 2, what did we disagree with? And number 3, what are we going to do about it? I am ready to roll.
I'm in it. Weston, my book friend, tell me, what book is it that we're thinking good about today?
Today, we are talking about the conclusion to Field Guide to Lies and Statistics, Discovering Your Own.
Discovering your own. Now, what do you think he means by that? Discovering your own conclusions?
I think so, dude.
Okay. All right. Well, no subtitles here. So basically, to wrap it up, he talks about the Ministry of Truth in George Orwell's book 1984. Talks about Paul McCartney being hard to find. Talks about the internet and social media confounding our search for knowledge. And then he talks about how he basically plugs the book at the end of the book to say, this field guide will help you with this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the conclusion.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from the conclusion?
I did. I was puzzled by the Paul McCartney thing and Dick Clark. So I went to Google Paul McCartney, and there really isn't much information about it. It's pretty interesting. Aside from just there's not much tabloid information about it, I don't know who Dick Clark is, though.
Dick Clark is he's an actor.
Yeah.
An old white dude. Right?
Okay.
You looking at it? All right.
Yeah, I am. I see. Yeah, he is an old white dude. That's what I expected. Did you learn anything?
No, but I had a pushback.
Okay, what's your pushback?
My pushback was on 252 when he makes the claim, in addition to an anti-science bias, there is an anti-skepticism bias when it comes to the internet. Many people think, if I found it online, it must be true.
Dude,
not in my life, dude.
No. I think that's the reference to Paul McCartney and Dick Clark and that statement make me wonder about the age group in which this person resides.
I think that's the case, dude. Where it's
it's it's kind of like how, remember in school, we were always told not to cite Wikipedia as a source.
Yeah.
But then once I got out into the workforce, what did everybody say? Oh, just look it up on Wikipedia. Regardless of your field. I know I've now worked with, people in business, people in medicine, people in the church, and Wikipedia is pretty widely used in all of those fields.
Yeah, but I think it's widely used because the sources can be found at the bottom of the pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like Wikipedia itself is the source. So
yeah, but it's
those sources, it definitely becomes more reputable.
Yeah, but that advances the point that you are making, right? Which is there are many things on the internet that are very credible and that have been dubiously fact checked.
Yes, but I think I'm more making the point that I don't think many people our age think anything on the internet is true.
Right.
I think that we have pretty skeptical eyes considering all the scams that we encountered growing up and all the I feel like younger generations too are just they just understand that almost everything is made up. But
yeah.
So they don't just take it at face value because unless I read it wrong.
Yeah.
There's an he thinks that people are really gullible. Many people think if I found it online, it must be true. And I just don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the attitude people have.
True.
It's not that
you and I are
sources. It's that we're also not idiots.
Yeah, you and I are both responding to the same you're responding to the same thing in different ways. My thing is to say there's plenty on the internet that's credible, and yours is saying but all of us who use the internet a lot know not to trust it.
Yeah.
Like the number one thing you learn about the internet is not to trust it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not just believe what people say on the internet.
Yeah.
Like it's become a trope. Like, it's become a cliche. Yeah, don't believe everything you read.
Yeah.
So
that was my pushback. But again, that was like, I don't know how big of a pushback that is, but it's kind of a similar thing he's done throughout the book where I've pushed back to things and I've been like, you just sound like an old man screaming, "Get off my lawn," right?
Yeah.
So I think you might be, onto something that maybe the target demographic is older.
Yeah.
Um,
I did like this statement that he makes, though. Again, this is one of those like sliver of hope things, I think, or like a realism moment that I was like, oh, that's really nice, on page 253, where he says, "You have a virtual world of information and misinformation cohabitating side by side, staring back at you like identical twins, one who will help you and one who will hurt you. Figuring out which one to choose falls upon all of us, and it requires careful thinking. And one thing that most of us feel is in short supply: time. Critical thinking is not something you do once with an issue and then drop it. It's an active and ongoing process." I just thought that was like a dose of realism that kind of like coincides with what you and I are saying, that like, yeah, the internet is full of both information, misinformation, and like critical thinking is an ongoing process. I think that was good. And also like that he called out the reality that like we don't have an endless amount of time to fact check everything. Like we just have to functionally believe things sometimes.
Yeah. And it is a good call to action when he says at the bottom of that page too, "We've saved incalculable numbers of hours of trips to libraries and far-flung archives. And the implicit bargain that we all need to make explicit is that we will use just some of that time that we've saved to perform proper information verification." And I think that that's probably his most compelling argument to me in this book, was like, you know what? Yeah, over the years, we've developed such a fantastic ability to navigate any information that we need.
Yeah.
And it is a good idea to think about that as like, the time that I have to do other things now was exactly why people have continued to work to better the future, right? So we should continue to do that too. Like that was like the most compelling thing to me, is like
That's true.
It's taken so long and so many hard worked hours of studying by people and generations before us, that we need to take a step back, appreciate that, and then use some of that time to make sure that we're making the better decisions moving forward as well. So
yeah,
that was the biggest thing at the end here, where he compelled me to, a good channel of action, because I felt like a lot of this book was just, like I got really down in the middle of it, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was definitely leading me down this like cynical, pessimistic path that we were talking.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the greatest, most important call to action was right at the end here.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's a good call to action. I like that a lot. What does that like inspire in you as you think about that? Like how we're using our time to further the advance.
Yeah, like initially it inspired me to just express some gratitude.
Yeah.
But then I think
for our four fathers and mothers who
habitually it made me want to slow down, because I think that's what I need to do in order to do this proper information verification, is like I just need to always consider taking a second to slow down, take a breath and look at things a little bit closer, because I tend to be, we got very fast-paced lives. So Yeah, that's how I felt about it. What about you?
Yeah, I think one of the things that inspires me is a similar sort of thing, like to slow down, but is like to cultivate that like learning attitude versus an expert attitude. Because I think that that's something that I like when he talked about experts and like whether you should trust experts or not. Like, um, one of my first like real jobs, I would say, was in sort of like a um kind of like millennial group, right? And there's kind of the term expert got thrown around, I think, carelessly.
Mhm.
It's like, well, I don't know if that person is an expert because they know how to do one thing that you don't know how to do.
Yeah.
That just means they have a skill. Like it doesn't necessarily make them an expert in
Yeah.
something. Uh, and I think that is just a temptation to say like, oh, I'm like expert or trailblazing or something, and to remind myself like, okay, I'm 30, like let's calm down and let's keep learning and keep like growing and keep exercising these muscles for when that matters.
Cut it.
Sweet.
Ship it.
Thank you for joining us, book friends. Next week on the BFTTG pod, Jack and Weston, they're thinking good some more with you, our book friends. Check out the show notes or the description, comment section for a link to the book and any articles that we talk about in the show. Bye-bye, book friends.
Bye for this time, guys.
Do a good thing today.
I love you.
Love you too, dude.